The Diary of Nikki Jones. Being creative is an everyday adventure. Why I decided to move out of my bus after living in it for 2.5 years. Before I talk about why I moved out, I want to talk about, just briefly, really quickly, why I moved in. So back in 2020, right before the pandemic started, I had no idea what was going on. We thought the world was ending. So my lease was ending a month after. I decided to move out of my apartment in Philadelphia back home to upstate New York. And I had the most free time I've ever had in my entire life. And I came across this couple who were building a van out so that they can live in it. And I thought it was the best idea ever. I didn't act on my idea right then and there, or their idea, or my inspiration from their idea. But a couple months later, honestly, I was just like, F it, I'm gonna do it. So once I started my journey to find a bus, to the day that I purchased the bus was less than 48 hours, which is crazy. It felt really impulsive, but it also felt right. Like, it just felt so right. So I did it. I had no experience. I knew my capabilities. I knew that if I found a video of how to build certain things, I would be able to make it happen. And I did. Like, I am in the bus, and I've been in this bus for 2.5 years, and I keep saying that because it's crazy to me. But I also moved out about almost 60 days ago. 2 months ago, I moved out of my bus and into an apartment, and that itself is a whole different transition. No one talks about going from small to big because I'm having like somewhat of a culture shock in my apartment. A lot of people talk about how downsizing may have an effect on you, your life, and things that you do, which it does, but no one talks about the reverse of that, of upsizing or upgrading. So yeah, my time in the bus, I think, is a lot different than any other bus dwellers, nomadic people, I think, because I chose to live in my bus in Philadelphia and in the surrounding areas of Philadelphia while I was working a job where I needed to report to at least 3 times a week, and then my other job is seasonal from August to March or April, and I was there anywhere between 1 and 3 or 4 times a week. So I needed to be in a physical location. I wasn't traveling as much as I thought I would. Going back and thinking about my journey, I wish I would have just like taken more time off of work, saved up more money to just like travel here and there before it was time for me to move out. But simultaneously, while I was living in the bus, I had a lot of personal things going on with myself, with my family, with work. I also realized that I created such a masterpiece in this bus. I've tapped into a percentage of my brain that I don't think I've ever tapped into before. And reaching that high mentally, being stimulated like that, it kind of like crushed me when I was finished, because I finished and I'm like, okay, what's next? How can I create something so amazing in 9 months? And then when I'm done, I was working at the Apple store. Like, I was working at the Apple store, and no offense to anyone who works in sales, works for Apple, in Apple, around Apple, any type of like regular, I think it's like a regular or glorified sales position. No offense to any of you guys. My issue is with myself. The offense that needs to be felt is within myself, because I just felt like I did something amazing, and there's no way that I could have this peak in life and kind of just go down making, you know, almost minimum wage as a job. And then I was just like, I just went into this spiral of, ow, how did I do this? How did I create Autumn? And then go back to working for Apple, and I was also doing Instacart and DoorDash, which is, again, nothing wrong with it. I was able to pay my bills with that, barely, but I still paid bills with that. But like, it just didn't sit right with me, and I think it took me too long to figure out what I needed to be doing. I think the time that I've spent in Autumn created a bubble for me, and I loved the bubble that I was in. The bubble was amazing. it secluded me and separated me from so many people, and I loved my bubble because it was silent. It was my own. It was what I created. But at the same time, while I was separate from all these people, it also had the reverse effect to where I felt like I couldn't connect to the people around me, the people that I knew. I didn't really want to hang out with friends. I didn't invite anyone over. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right, but I also think part of the reason is because I chose to be stationary. I think that if I was traveling more, I would experience more of that freedom that I felt when I took my very first road trip in autumn. Back in 2021, for a month, I just decided to drive south. I went from upstate New York and I made it all the way down to Houston, Texas, and back. I felt so free. Traveling without a destination, without having to worry about paying your rent, it just felt so free. And I really truly feel like that's how we need to be living. That's how life should be. That's how life should be felt. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I have been chasing that freedom of creativity, that freedom of not having to, fall into the cycle of wake up, go to my 9 to 5, go home, cook dinner, go to sleep, repeat the next day and the next day and the next day. Somehow I fell into that cycle after I built the bus. I'm like, this isn't right. This is not right. It's not okay. And again, I truly believe that one of the main reasons is because I was stationary and I wasn't traveling as much as I could have or should have. In addition to all of that, I also had some pretty tragic experiences in my personal life during the time that I was building the bus. I built the bus in the driveway of my grandmother and my great-grandmother's home. The year that I was building the bus was the year that my grandmother was diagnosed with cancer. And because I was building the bus at her house, I was just kind of like in the middle of that, between the aides and the doctors and the medication and so many changes to their home and all of the medical equipment and pills, and it was so much. And I was trying to really focus on building the bus, but also trying to focus on being there for my grandmother and my great-grandmother and helping my mom take care of them. And just over the time of the 4 years since she was diagnosed and when she passed, it just got progressively worse. Cancer just attacked her like I've never seen cancer attack anyone ever before. My grandmother and I were very close. She was a person that I could tell anything to, no matter what it is. Like, I'm not even gonna repeat to you the things that I've said to her, and she's like, oh yeah, that's lit. So through all of these experiences that I've had in the bus, out of the bus, during the time of, me building it to living in it to moving out of it, she was my outlet. Through me, having to, work at the Apple store and just kind of realize that I felt like I was wasting my potential to doing DoorDash and Instacart and whatever. With her being my outlet, that changed because I needed her. Like I always did. I leaned on her throughout my life, but now she needed to lean on me. And that was just a pretty dramatic shift. And she passed September 1st of 2023. In addition to that, 6 months later, my great-grandmother passed 3 days before my birthday, which was this past March. And in addition to that, and everything that I just mentioned, depression. It's not funny. Depression hit me hard. Depression was living in this bus with me. Depression was sleeping in my bed. Depression was helping me cook dinner. Depression was helping me binge eat the way that I was eating. Depression was here and was not leaving. So after her funeral service that we had, the next day I got a call that I was on a wait list for therapy, and that I had gotten off the wait list and they were ready to take me on as a client. And oh my god, 9 months after starting therapy, I finished therapy, and I am just a better person. I've evolved. I've learned to deal with my emotions. I've learned to communicate the things that I need. I've learned to listen to myself and put myself first. It's so crazy because living in this bus has just been so glorified in my life. And it's amazing. I know that it is. I know that I created something that I probably would never be able to create again. No, I could do it again, and I can do it better. But during this time of it being glorified throughout my life, and all the people that I knew that I lived in the bus, all they wanted to talk about was the bus. And I love that. Let's talk about autumn. Autumn is a showstopper. I love that. But Nikki needed love and support and the communication with friends and family. And I wasn't getting that. So I went on this journey from deciding to build a bus, to creating a bus, to living in a bus. While living in the bus, dealing with depression because I just peaked so freaking hard. And my grandmother was battling cancer. I lost her to cancer, and I lost my great grandmother 6 months later. And I just knew that it was not gonna cry. I just knew that I was on a healing journey. Sometimes things have to get worse before they can get better. And I also knew that as I was getting better, part of me being better was for me to move out of the bus and into my apartment, which I love so, so much. And as I said earlier, people talk about going from apartment or big home to a tiny home, but no one talks about the process from a tiny home to an apartment. I have a basic 1-bedroom apartment, and the other night I was like, I live in a mansion. I live in a mansion. Like, this place is huge. It's not even fully furnished yet because I've started from scratch. I've had to furnish everything from scratch, and that's expensive, but it's so big. Like, I was only standing in my living room. My living room is like the size of the bus. And I'm like, this is just crazy. But it's just a really big transition. But I also think that this is just a part of my journey. And, you know, some of those negative things needed to happen for me to realize my potential, to learn how to listen to myself, to learn how to set boundaries with people around me, because I was just giving and not getting anything in return. And I needed to be that person for me. If no one else was going to be the person that I was for them, to me, then I needed to be that person. And I've learned to do that through this crazy journey of me living in the bus. And to talk about everything that I experienced during the 2.5 years of living in the bus is impossible in this time frame. But I think the most important lesson that I have learned is to put yourself first. I think that I peaked so hard during the process of me building the bus because this is what I wanted to do. I didn't care about what anyone else thought. I didn't listen to anyone else's criticism or opinions or fear or anything. Like, this was about me. Somewhere between when I finished to when my grandmother passed, it felt like none of that was about me. After she passed, I was like, I need to live my life for me. I need to say no to the people around me, especially when it doesn't benefit me. It sounds so selfish, but you really just have to pick and choose of who has your time, who's worthy of being in your space around you, who's gonna support you and pour into you the way that you pour into them. I have a friend that I didn't really mean to cut her out. It just wasn't like, it was just like, I'm in this with my mom and my brother, my grandmother and my great grandmother, and that's it. Like, these are the people that matter. But I talked to her on the phone for 4 hours. It was more so about her just being like, listen, I love you, I appreciate you, you are a very good friend of mine, and if you need someone to talk to, I will clear up my schedule, I will make time, we will set a date, and we will talk about it. Those are the people that I need. That is the type of person that I have been for other people for so long. So I think that the process and the journey of me living in this bus has made me realize that Nikki comes first. And I love that for me. I love that for me so much. I love it for me so much. And I'm going to probably make some more videos about that because I can talk about that for days. Hopefully the reason why I moved out of the bus makes sense. I don't know if I answered the question, but it's in there. You gotta read in between the lines for some of the things to realize why I moved out. But I don't regret this experience at all. I love autumn. I'm very close to selling autumn, and when I do sell, I'm pretty sure I'm going to cry. Bye, autumn. Because it's really gonna be officially closing the chapter of Nikki and Autumn. Oh, I just want to like hug her. Let me know if you guys have any questions about why I decided to move in, why I decided to move out, or maybe even about my process of rebranding myself into the person that I know I need to be for me. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Share this video with your friends or anyone that may be wanting to live in a bus, or maybe even someone who is stuck in life or feels stuck in life. I can help. Thank you guys so much. Bye.